The next speaker is me. All right, so my talk is called How to Report Test Progress, lightning talk. The Rosetta Stone. So John Hazel and I, a manager I worked with at Alcatel-Lucent for many number of years, we, especially John, had to present reports on his testing. I didn't have to report quite so many because the project managers didn't like dealing with my positive deviance. So John was more compliant, but we slowly managed to change how we were reporting our test activities from reporting something that I felt was 100% useless to reporting something that I felt was as close as I could think of to report actual and real progress. So I'll show you what we started with. It was something like this. The customers have been anonymized down to A, B, C, D, E. But these were actual customers of ours. We had these little arrows beside the date, whether we were tracking up, down, left, or right. Tracking ahead of schedule, tracking on schedule, or tracking behind schedule. The part that I really didn't like about this was the coverage section, which had something like 13 out of 16 test cases executed. It not really indicating so much the effort remaining, but the number of test cases remaining. Some test cases would take an hour to run, some would take 2 weeks to run. You can't really monitor them on a chart. This chart became modified or morphed into something that looked like this, which kind of grew along, and we're still counting test cases across the top here. So you can see, as an example, customer A had 179 tests and we'd executed 154 of them. Customer A was not our largest customer. Customer B was our largest customer, but we only had 72 test cases for customer B. The reason is we had a large automation suite that only customer A needed because it had to do with a feature that they used and no other customer did. So a large number of that 179 was automation that just ran in a day. But when this slide was put up in this type of format here, and I'll get back to that one in a second, but in showing total number of test cases as the y-axis and then our execution against that, I'd been saying for years that that was junk. And what happened was our VP slammed his fist on the table and said, "This is not right. Why are we doing more testing for customer A, who's our 5th largest customer, instead of customer B, who's our largest customer worldwide?" And I took that opportunity in the meeting to say, "I'm really glad you asked that because I've been fighting against this for years. This shows nothing against effort. It's just a number of test cases and it's junk." So he said, "Well, find me a better way to report it then. I want that by next week." So we came up with this. Everything was normalized to 100%. We did this because it was quick, but it was still counting test cases. So even though it said we were 90% done, it didn't mean we were necessarily done by effort. So finally we came up with this, which we call the Rosetta Stone. And essentially what we have here is effort. This is, you can't see it in here. Hopefully you can see it online. On the left, the y-axis is person weeks of effort. The gray is the plan. The colored bar beside it is the actual progress so far. If the bar is solid, we are complete. So this one here, the first one, customer A, we've completed the work 5 person weeks ahead of schedule. So we have 5 person weeks of plan that we can distribute. If you look over the ones that have horizontal lines, customer B has sideways lines, means we're tracking on plan. The 2 red ones are both tracking up to the right, meaning they're tracking behind plan, kind of obvious with customer C and E both being well over their effort. The customer F has a solid yellow, meaning there was some issues found, but they weren't gating issues, but there are some issues that we're concerned about. Red means a gating issue. So if I look at this, I can see that customer C is tracking behind. I'd have another slide that goes with this that would list why customer C, what the issue was with customer C. But this shows us, if we're tracking to plan, how much effort we have left, and I'm out of time, how much effort we have left and whether we're tracking ahead or behind. And it shows actual effort instead of showing test cases. So it's an estimated of person weeks as opposed to uneven containers. So instead of saying how many containers do you have left, how many test cases do you have left, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to finish my, yes, I am the last one, and we have a whole session left, right? So my lightning talk will become sort of a repetitive flash of lightning, not just one. So actually, I think I managed to say pretty much everything that I wanted to, just probably quicker. So what I can look at on this week's, my plan was here, so I have 5 extra person weeks effort that I can move across. The total of the gray lines pretty much is my plan to the release date. So if I have 10 testers and 10 weeks, then I'd have 100 person weeks of effort that it should add up to. That's about it. It's we literally just were about to start using this when I was given the opportunity to no longer work at Alcatel. So I'm going to have to talk to John to see how it went over. But this is what we came up with like 2 months ago. And that's my talk.
People, questions? First, Anne-Marie. First, ladies.
Downsides? Anything? Did they like it? Did they not like it?
I don't know. That's what I said. I wasn't there when it was
So
presented. I
okay,
left already. And
okay.
John was supposed to be here this conference, but he couldn't make it. So.
All right. Well, I'll quickly jump to the second question then.
Okay. I don't see any downsides. Actually, that's not true. There was somebody pointed out something. There was actually, I think it was Paul Carvello indicated that he was going to start using this. And what he indicated was he was also adding a number in the candle, and the number was the number of issues that were found. So, because right now, if customer C had 5 gating issues, there's no way of knowing that, as opposed to they have 1 gating issue because it's still just red. You can't really make it redder. Well, I guess you could, but instead he decided he wants to put a bug count in the candle as an additional item to it, which I didn't add because I couldn't remember what the number was until just now. Last night I was trying to think what the number was, and then I just remembered. So otherwise I would have added it. So what's your second question?
I don't know. I'm sure if I want to ask it now. No. I'm working in an environment where it's Kanban and it's just rolling through. So to me, like the effort, it would be really hard to estimate. The effort doesn't really, it tends to be just, it goes when it's goes. So this whole thing I would find it really hard to put it into practice.
Okay, I use it I used it on my team, and we did session-based test management. Our sessions were a half day of effort, not an hour and a half. So it made it very easy for me to take my use, and I used a whiteboard to track the sessions. So I just needed to look at the work to be done, the number of sessions there to see, the work that was done, and I could count up the number of sessions that I'd done, and that would be the number of half-person days that I'd executed against.
Okay.
And I used different colors, which would be the different customers or features across the bottom, and that did work quite well for me.
Okay.
In a straight agile mode, it would be difficult to plan too far in advance because it wouldn't have been fully vetted yet. But once it's vetted down to how much effort you think that story is going to take, then you can sort of add it to the plan here. I haven't really thought thoroughly through a full agile implementation of this, but my team, which was doing agile testing, but we weren't doing the development, we were taking third-party software, and so it made it relatively easy to do this because we could plan out the total testing effort that we thought we were going to have.
Okay, thank you.
So you hit one of my questions. The one I would have, how often was this reported?
Once a week.
Once a week?
We can continue.
That's it?
Can we go on?
Oh.
One question here. Sorry.
I had a similar challenge back in 2006 where I had to do, and I called it the Test Progress Status Report. I don't know if anyone gets that joke. And I wish I'd done this since. Oh, because someone get the joke. Okay. And I wish I'd come up with this because I did the first thing you showed, and it was horrible, and every bar was at 90% for like 2 months. And this, I can't quite get my brain around it. It doesn't apply to what I'm doing anymore because I am doing agile and blah, 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 what she just said. But this is cool. So thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I know Paul Carvello is in a fully agile shop, and he is using this. But I haven't spoken with him enough to know exactly how he's implementing it.
Actually, I got 2 questions. I was going to ask one question, and then I got another from your answer.
Okay.
So my first question was, you mentioned normalization.
Normalization?
Yes.
Oh, that was of this one here. We this one, which was only slightly less horrible than the previous iteration. What we did to appease the VP, who said, "How come?" Oh, you can't even see it. Customer A had over double the tests than customer B. When it showed nothing of effort, it was just a test count, and a lot of those were automated. So we normalized these to just showing to 100%.
So what was the normalization formula? So normalizing test cases by...
Oh, no, we just, everything went to 100%. So we just did it to a percentage.
Okay. And then you mentioned agile testing on the third-party software.
Yep.
What was that agile testing?
Essentially, I use session-based test management, exploratory testing. So we had our list of features. We came up with a list of test ideas, how many sessions we thought it would take to execute those test ideas or charters, and then I managed it on a whiteboard. I can talk an awful lot more about that. I've presented that a few times, including at CAS last year, and I'm more than willing to talk to you more about that if you're interested.
That was the last question.
All right. And that's it for Lightning Talks. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. Thank you online. And we'll be streaming. Well, I'll let you talk about that to the online people. Thanks a lot.